I want us to become brothers again like we used to be, and for us to find ourselves and bond with each other. Can we agree to that?
Opinions vary.
Welcome to Three Brothers Filmcast. I'm Aren Bergstrom, and I'm here with my brother,
Anders.
My last name is the same as my brother's.
And in this episode, we're discussing two recent comedy sequels that epitomize the trajectory of Hollywood comedy in 2025, The Naked Gun and Happy Gilmore 2. But first, if you're a regular listener and like what you hear, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple or Spotify, which really helps us get discovered. Thanks for listening, and now on to the show.
And here we go.
At this point, we all know that all Hollywood makes are sequels, adaptations, and remakes. It's a running joke on the podcast that half of our episodes are bemoaning the endless recycling of IP in Hollywood. So if you've listened before, you know we aren't fans of the current Hollywood philosophy, which is driven by the financial conservatism and artistic indifference of venture capital. And yet, such repetition is unavoidable. So, in a ubiquitous commercial environment, the question becomes, which way, Hollywood? Do you meticulously recreate the approaches of the past in order to capture the appeal of a bygone era of movie making? Or do you simply do it all over again, down to the jokes, the narrative beats, and even the clips? In short, do you make The Naked Gun or Happy Gilmore 2?
Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
These movies really capture Hollywood's approach to comedy in the current moment. So despite the futility of dissecting humor on a criticism podcast, I do think we'll have a lot to talk about here. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the movie about the man with the gun or the man with the golf club?
Well, I just saw Naked Gun, the remake, last night. I guess I shouldn't really call it a remake. It's really, in concept, one might say it's a sort of weirdly pitched as a legacy sequel, but it's essentially a remake, right? So Liam Neeson plays...
It's a classic reboot.
Yeah, because Liam Neeson is playing Frank Drebin Jr., the son of Leslie Nielsen's police squad leader. And we even have, Paul Walter Hauser is Ed Hawkins Jr. as well. You get the sons of all the other guys, which leads to a really great gag early in the film. Unfortunately given away in the trailer. But I hadn't seen the original Naked Gun in years and years and years, and I rewatched it and the sequel in the last couple of weeks. But I have to say, Naked Gun was very funny, and I really enjoyed it, despite the fact that it's so clearly, it hits all the same beats. It even ends at a sporting event. It has all the sort of absurdities, but they do it just without trying to, consciously, update it for today, other than it's obviously set in the 21st century with tech billionaires and just Teslas and things like that. Other than that, the kind of jokes that it has are very... old-fashioned in some sense, even as they can be pretty crazy and wild. So I enjoyed it. I don't know. We saw your review. You were a fan.
Oh, yeah. No, I was, dying during it. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, and there's a couple scenes that just kill you.
Oh, yeah. And, I feel like this whole podcast could literally just become us listing. That's every comedy review is in danger at some point of just, let's list the funniest parts and let's talk about it. And then the people who have seen the movie can chuckle along, and the people who haven't will be like, okay, I'm tuning out. But it's true. There's a lot of, really funny moments. And the thing that I appreciated about it, I wrote this in my review, is that, it's really dedicated to the stupidity, but it's not one note in the type of jokes it does.
No.
It really does a full spectrum of what dumb humor can be. And so you get the slapstick stuff, you get the recurring gag of him hitting the same cyclist on the way to work every day, or the coffee constantly being handed to them and they're throwing out the coffee and grabbing a new coffee because you always have to have a coffee in the hand if you're a cop in a movie. But then you also get the Mission Impossible gag where they're they're getting him to say something, Kevin Durant's henchman character, which actually follows a pretty hilarious riff about being a pretty boy in prison that Liam Neeson does. And it's do you want to go viral?
It kind of goes in very strange places,
Yeah.
It's you won't be able to eat,
But then, like,
gotta keep you a good
mushrooms
physique.
out and into this, like, okay, he's getting Kevin Durant, and then you realize that it's internal affairs is getting him, but no, he's actually got, like, the board of, like, construction worker, like, the unions getting the internal affairs people, and it just, those kind of elements where it's so committed to how, it's committed to, like, a really absurd scenario, but the thing I appreciate so much more than other comedies, and I'm not particularly saying like something like Happy Gilmore 2, which we'll talk about in a bit, but other comedies nowadays, just the generic ones that go into theaters, which can hardly be called comedies, or the stuff that you get on TV, which that stuff is all so knowing. It's so winking at you. It's the reason why I didn't appreciate, Final Destination Bloodlines like so many other people did. It's why Superman curdled for me. Like, I don't need movies to realize how stupid elements of the movie are. I want the movie to be stupid and then be completely straight-faced. And it's because that's how comedy works. Like, just stop being in on the joke. Just tell me a joke.
Because the people are afraid of, nobody wants to be made to feel stupid, so they always have to feel that they have, like, a one-up on something, or that they're above it all. Right, like, it's like I can chuckle at it, but I know, like, there's like you say, a knowingness, and I mentioned that about Superman as well. But this movie, it's not like it gets what it's doing. Like, dare I say, there are moments like where Naked Gun approaches Simpsons like level of humor, right? Because there are moments where it's pretty much a live action cartoon, right? Like, it defies the laws of physics.
But even the old ones, very much.
Yeah, that's
so.
what I mean. Like, the Naked Gun series is
Yes.
that kind of humor, right? You have some cameos, not as many as some other movies, but but at the same time, it's like it's more about like the concepts and like the like a million jokes firing on multiple levels, so you get like a pun and then some wordplay and then a slapstick and all kind of woven together.
And then you get like a visual gag, which is not even... The other thing is that it doesn't actually ever... There's a lot of jokes that it doesn't feel the need to comment upon. Even visually.
No, it doesn't underline them.
So you have that great thing where it's like cold cases and a guy going into like a frozen room to go grab a box of files. And it's
but they
just
don't
like
linger on it.
It doesn't linger. It's just in the background of a shot, but you notice it and you just like cackle because you're like, that's just so dumb. I'm trying to think of the last movie I laughed as much in theaters as this. And it helps that I was, I went with some
I'm having a hard
friends.
time remembering.
I went with some friends.
Friendship is funny, but more cringeworthy. But
Oh, yeah. Friendship is hilarious, but like painful and made me really depressed.
yes.
And this movie, I was kind of like, wow, this is like what why aren't there more comedies that just want to make you like laugh and then spends 85 minutes in your
And then feel this movie, honestly, though, also at the end kind of makes you feel good. Because as stupid and like ridiculous as Frank Drebin Jr. is, like the comment about how many guys he's shot and stuff. But it kind of ends with the characters getting their kind of like happy ending.
It does.
So
And,
it's a comedy in the true sense of the term.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, part of that appeal, I think, is the movie goes through, it goes to some pains to actually set up like a clear structure as a detective movie, however stupid the case is. And you know the bad guy immediately. It doesn't matter. It's not about like the tension of mystery and stuff, but it does have this very firm genre skeleton structure that Akiva Schaffer's the director, right? Lonely Island with Andy Samberg and stuff. Like, those guys understand comedy. They're comedy nerds, but they're not... Like, I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but like modern comedy seems defined by comedians being trolls. Like, they want to mock other people. Well, classic comedy and something like the original Naked Gun is clown comedy. It's like they're the fools.
Yes.
They're not making other people feel foolish. They're the ones who are doing the pratfalls. They're not tripping someone, right? And so much of new comedy is like mean-spirited. Well, this comedy's not. And so, but part of that is like, mimes and clowns and those old classic approaches to humor are very they're very stupid, but there's also a lot of craft that goes into it. They're like technical masters at falling down, and I feel like that is present in this kind of film where it really goes to pains to have all the beats of an actual cop movie, which like the original does as well. But it's necessary because it means that you always know that there's like a clear momentum pushing you to the next gag, and it really helps because there's just constant gags. But you don't get bored with it, and then you not only do you not get bored, there's actual investment in something as silly as like the relationship between Liam Neeson's Frank Drebin and Pamela Anderson's Beth Davenport. And it actually ends up as kind of like a sweet romance, which is so stupid to say. But I thought she was super funny in it too. Like the scene where she's scatting is like hilarious.
Oh, the scat scene! I was dying at that scene because it's just so ridiculous. And then he's and then cutting between him beating up the henchman.
Yeah,
and his
the lineup.
Just in a fight, just kind of like scat.
But I appreciate
like there's so many little gags like that.
Neither of them are mugging at all during this movie.
No,
and they say so
like
many.
They're not lingering for that additional.
Lines.
Yeah. Sometimes they blow right past them. Yeah.
Exactly. And to the point where I think sometimes in the theater people were missing that, like, oh no, that's a gag, like right there, because it's just flying through them. And it revels in the stupidity of like Liam Neeson with the chili dog sequence with the body camera,
the body cam
having
footage.
like bad gas.
Just a little further. Keep going. Just
don't want to ruin another pants
today.
It's just.
And of course, the fact that it's Buster Rhymes.
No, exactly.
Like in the style. Akiva Schaffer, you're right. Like commenting on that, it does have a very Lonely Island though, like the tone to it, like because they what they were good at in some of their music videos and stuff is like playing it as straight. Like I think of something as absurd as the Michael Bolton Jack Sparrow music video.
Yes.
Like they're just gonna straight up make a real like club song from like late 2010s, and then they're gonna make it absurd when he comes in and starts singing about Pirates of the Caribbean, and like that's the gag, right? But it's interesting. The other films that he's only directed a few other films, but he has directed a number of episodes of also I Think You Should Leave.
Oh, it's true.
And he also did and then the last movie he did was the Chippendale Rescue Rangers movie with Andy Samberg, which is I haven't seen. I've watched parts of it with the boys when they were watching it.
Yeah,
and it is kind of a spiritual sequel to
Roger Rabbit.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and likewise has a pretty solid like hook to it, like to hang it on. So.
I remember the summer that came out, Anton was pretty sick of it because his boys kept watching over and over, and Anton's really not a fan of modern comedies, I think, like broadly speaking. But I thought that movie was okay. Like it had some jokes, and it actually had the Tim Robinson ugly Sonic joke, which I thought was very good. It's like, what's wrong with his face? But yeah, it's not everything Lonely Island guys or Schaefer does works for me, but in the same way that like I'm not a huge fan of Hot Rod, to be honest. I don't love it, but it's Lonely Island.
But he did the Pop Star movie, and then
good.
the Bash Brothers, which is great.
And the Bash Brothers is great actually, especially if you're like a baseball loser. But yeah, I remember watching that the night of the 2019 home run derby where Vladdy hit like more homers than ever, but then lost to Pete Alonso because of how stupid the format is, where it's like it doesn't matter that he hit 30 more than Pete, he loses because it's
it's just about the seeding of how they
whatever. Yeah. At least Vladdy won later. What, 2023? Yeah, I think Schaefer has enough of an understanding of like movies and movie structure and storytelling that he's not one of these other comedy directors who just kind of lets the guys work. I guess that's it. It's like the movie doesn't seem to be relying on Neeson or Anderson or Paul Walter Hauser or some of the actual comedians involved in the film to like generate the comedy. Instead, it's actually very sound from like a script level that it knows that it has real jokes that are written and real visual gags that are constructed. And so all it needs the actors to do is like perform it well, and then it's going to work. And that's a very different approach than Will Ferrell or like, I love Will Ferrell
not
movies,
like some of the Apatow or McKay. They are more riff films, right?
Exactly.
Where you shoot tons and tons of material, and then you see what the best gags over the skeleton and how they work, right? This is a film, I don't think it was shot like that. I think they probably stick pretty close to the script, and which is why it's also a nice, tight 85 minutes long. It never says it's welcome in the sense that, like, you're not like, okay, like how many more, jokes about him, crapping his pants or whatever can you do? I will say, like, sort of transitioning to the collaborators, Liam Neeson's great in this movie.
Oh yeah,
He
the only
really
thing you could say that is not like, you just wish he was a little younger. That's it, and that's just a matter
Yeah,
of
of
the
course,
production
yeah.
of the movie. But he's just so
right.
game.
It's been a number of years in production, right?
Yeah. Well, remember, Seth MacFarlane was going to direct it in the 2010s,
Well, I'm glad.
and he's
that
a
he
producer of
didn't,
this film.
but- Yes.
And I mean, that's a credit to Seth MacFarlane. Kind of, I don't know. Like, again, I'm not a fan of Family Guy as it currently is on the air for 20 seasons or whatever, or American Dad and stuff. But I do think there's something to Seth MacFarlane's approach, and there's an actual like comedic spark in him, and he's able to identify, I think, other people who can be really funny if they're given the chance. And so, I mean, I know he had Neeson in his failed Western, that Million Ways to Die in the West or whatever.
I never saw that. Yeah.
It was a flop, right? And it was supposed to be his big follow-up to Ted. Yeah, whatever. Credit where it's due. But sorry, back to Neeson.
Yeah. But Neeson, like, one of the reasons Neeson works well is because, like, as you said in your review, he plays it 100% straight. Like, there's no winking at all, and he embraces it full on, like all its stupidity, and that's what I think really works. In the same way that Leslie Nielsen did in the originals, right? And remember, people forget because, after so many years of Leslie Nielsen and all those, like, the comedies and stuff, they forget that he was a dramatic actor before, right? So in the same
I always
way,
think of
Neeson-
him in that episode of MASH as the really abusive, like awful, the MASH episode where he's like the abusive captain who comes in, and it's a very like dark episode where Hawkeye basically uncovers some untoward thing that this captain is doing, and Neeson's character gets away with it because of like chain of command and other like wartime kind of considerations, and he's actually quite like terrifying in it.
Yeah, no, he can also he could do like, you think of going way back, something like Forbidden Planet, right? Like he's
Great movie.
The straight up like precursor to Captain Kirk in that, essentially.
Yeah.
So, also a great Canadian actor.
Yes, Leslie Nielsen. I do love that it's LN, like Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson.
Yep.
It fits there. The transition of a guy who was known for dramatic stuff going into a completely deadpan slapstick spoof. Yeah.
And then likewise, Priscilla Presley and Pamela Anderson, I think, do well in the comedic roles, women who are previously mostly known for like, being pretty or, in one
tabloids
case,
even.
Tabloid material, married to Elvis, married to rock star Pamela Anderson too, right? And now into this new phase of their career. And I think she does a great job of it. I think she, carries the comedic. She's believable as a love interest, but she's also like genuinely can do the funny bits because she's kind of in line with a lot of her sort of transition, I guess, since like Last Showgirl and things, sort of transition in her career away and, sort of eschewing like the real made up, dolled up look and things like that she kind of feels very comfortable with herself now. And so she's not afraid. She's like, what, she's not like precious about her like image. So she's willing to do really goofy and silly bits in the movie. And it works.
But I also one thing I appreciate about her is that like she's always been fairly likable, specifically in like public appearances. She seems like an agreeable person, again, Canadian actor, but has that kind of, Canadian agreeableness and really trying to be just like pleasant. And that's be that is made, that has nothing to bearing on a performer, but it does seem like she is extremely comfortable in her own skin now. And that's ridiculous to say about a person who was a pinup in the past and stuff. But I know. I don't think there was the same level of comfort there in the past in those, but it allows her in the comedic sense to do the twofold thing where it's like, one, she's able to be really ridiculous in this film and not feel precious about the fact that she's being ridiculous. So there's no knowingness about like, well, I'm playing against type or something. But then secondly, because her character in the early going especially is presented as a femme fatale, she's dressed that way, she acts that way, there's a lot of double entendres in the conversation and stuff, she actually is able to play a kind of like sex appeal in the film without feeling defensive about it, which is great because you can't have that level of defensiveness or else it gets in the way of the jokes. And so the movie's just straight up being like, oh, she looks great. And Liam Neeson's attracted to her. And guy, you know, the scene where she walks out of the office is like, I think I will take the chair. And she walks out with the chair and all the guys lean and like watch her walk out. The movie's not, there's no comment about like, oh, it's so bad to like gawk at her.
No,
or something.
exactly.
It's just straight up like, oh, she looks good, but it's also funny. Like,
Yes, exactly. It's both at the same time and comfortable with it.
yeah. And it's just nice because it goes back to an older style of Hollywood where it's like you don't need to put a layer and a layer and a layer of knowingness on top of these things. Just go back to what it is on the basic level, and the audience can work it out.
Excuse the mess. I haven't had the heart to clean since she died.
My condolences. How did she pass?
Great, 50 yards easy. Arm like in Cannon. And then she died. She was the sweetest woman I've ever known.
She sounds like a saint.
Or maybe a Bronco or a 49er. We would have been happy with any team, really. Anyone but the Browns.
I'm sorry.
So you have, you know, the sort of character actors and the villain, but there are some cameos. I mentioned the Busta Rhymes as one of the bank robbers. There's a couple of other. I liked that Weird Al makes a cameo because he was in the original. And you know, obviously, there's a few other you know, fun cameos from that throw back to the original. But the movie's not like it doesn't use cameos for jokes. Maybe once there's the, you know, that one, the Dave Bautista joke. But other than that, that's the only time. Like so it doesn't beat it down. It's not like they're like relying on who they could get to appear in the movie and skewer themselves in order to, you know, play up the film. In contrast to the other film that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Here's my question for you: How would you compare the new Naked Gun to the original?
I mean, I probably laughed more at the new one than the original, but that's also the nature of watching a movie in a theater. I'm always more engaged, so I'm always more likely to get really into it. Or if it's not working, be like really annoyed because I'm sitting there in a theater and I paid money and I'm like, what has happened here? But I really do like the original film. I like a lot. I think it's really funny, and I'd forgotten how good some of the gags are. Like just the opening where he goes into the like meeting,
and beats up all the
world bad guys, and he just beats them all, and he's
guys.
like, "Don't make me come back here at the." It's like it's so stupid. He doesn't arrest anyone. He just beats
he's
them
punching
all.
the Ayatollah like a dummy,
like a punchy
balloon,
speed bag,
punching bag.
Yeah, it's. No, there's just so many absurd things. And then the finale at the baseball game is great with the Queen
it's so good.
games.
Yeah, I do like the original. I think it's a very funny movie. But I guess what I think that the new one holds up well, it compares well to it, and I think it's pretty funny.
I can see myself watching it again quite a bit and showing other people because I think it's also like pretty tame. Which is something to say for a lot of comedies that like kill me nowadays.
No worse than the original. Like,
no, exactly. Where it's a little ribald, but it's not vulgar.
Yeah, there's that one great gag with the heat when the heat Durant's looking through the heat gun, but that I was dying at that. It's too good.
And the dog. It's very good. That and the Jack Frost bit just
the Jack. Man, I was not prepared for that. I was like. It just goes so far. It's like
it goes
a
so
full
far.
miniature movie within the movie. Like why? It's like spells and incantations.
No, that is a perfect example of Lonely Island humor.
Yeah,
where it's just like absolutely absurd and very weird, but it's just put into something where, because you know, within that sense, the Jack Frost sequence. The romantic interlude is already a joke. It's already portrayed as a true spoof thing with the Vaseline lens, with the really soft lighting, with the like happy music in the background. You're getting these little vignettes of romance in the mountains. The fact that they go from LA and they're immediately in like a wintry spot. It sounds weird, but like the first thing that always hits my mind when I see characters go from LA into a mountain scenario for a romantic thing is Modern Romance by Albert Brooks. The whole sequence where he's trying to go to the cabin. But so you're like, oh, okay, this is funny because it's spoofing all those like cheesy movies, and then it just turns at one point. And yeah, it just keeps going. And that's where it gets the like kind of Tim Robinson almost like weird humor, anti-humor thing where it's like all goes back to Mr. Show of like,
yes,
how far can we push this joke? And the joke is going to push through it and break through and then come back around and loop, and you realize that like, oh, the beginning set up the end of the joke. Like it's all like a perfect loop of an actual punchline. And that killed me. That was just ridiculous. But then, I mean, there is references. The movie's not like, it's not brilliant. It's just clever and it's well done. But like, I'm thinking of the sequence that is a perfect example of Liam Neeson's dedication to the performance and not mugging for it, but also like how good he is with the timing, is the PVR sequence.
Yes.
Where he's like, I told you not to plug this into the internet. I lost my Buffy. And then he just starts rattling
some
off
of his favorite episodes.
So many episodes where it's like, Xander, Willow's Double, the musical. He just keeps going through. And you're like, these jokes don't, that's a very modern joke because the jokes don't really make sense if you haven't watched Buffy and watched a lot of it. So like, I really loved it because I've watched all of Buffy and I'm like, okay, this is really going deep in weird Buffy lore. But he's so outraged over the fact that he's lost his episode.
but like, why can't you just watch them on streaming? Why do you have to have them on this 20-year-old TiVo?
But it goes so much
That's what makes it funny too, right?
Like, yes, and the fact that like, why is he one of the first romantic things he does to her is lend her like an old TiVo, but he's
because he says specifically because you won't get my reference if you don't watch it.
Exactly.
And up until that point in the movie, has the character ever made a reference to Buffy? It's not like.
But it's also like this idea of like, I'm gonna give this to you to watch so you can get my references, but I have a specific rule you have to follow. You can't plug it into the internet.
It's very funny. And you did mention in your review, you said that it's not like a topical movie, and it's not topical in the sense that it relies on like things, but I think it does a pretty good job of skewering a certain like the sort of tech billionaires, and like even the fact that like the at the UFC fight, or sorry, WWFC fight is at the Ponzi scheme.com arena.
Yeah. No,
like little bits like that. I love that stuff.
What I mean the topicality is that the movie is not a social commentary. No. And so many modern comedies, it's the idea that you're supposed to come with some takeaway. It's like, no, this makes fun of stupidity that is specific to our current moment, which is tech billionaires, which is the idea of like getting UV rays on your balls and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like absurd stuff. But the takeaway of the movie is not supposed to, like, and I've seen some people honestly give some stretches here being like, oh, the movie's kind of like an incisive commentary on how stupid cops are. I'm like, it's a comment on how, like, it's a movie about stupid people. Like, that's what it's about.
Right. Not just cops. Everyone's stupid.
Yeah. Like, the movie is using our modern moment as fodder for gags, but it is not a commentary. It's not a satire. It's not those things.
No,
it's a spoof. It's just like a dumb slapstick comedy.
And in fact, it's no more commentary on dumb cops than the original is.
Exactly. Which is like, a bit.
Yeah. And the thing is like everybody's kind of dumb. The whole I did actually there's some good gags with the new police chief Davis, the CCH Pounders, with her husband having to sleep for his really promotion. Those are some good gags too.
And it's like, you got it. We're all rooting for you.
Rooting for you. Yeah. No. So, like, yeah, I don't think it's a commentary in any more than like any point in history. Like, it's making fun of like the ridiculousness of any people in positions of like authority and power. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Nick Mullen always making comments to be like, people want to say that like it's like a political humor. It's like, well, is it political if I'm just making a joke about how stupid people are who have some political beliefs? Like, no. Exactly. The point is the joke. The joke is the point.
Exactly. And if it's not funny, it doesn't work. It's not important.
Get rid of it.
Whereas
if it's not funny, get rid of it.
What I appreciate the movie, and I appreciate exactly what Nick Mullen would say, is that the joke comes first. If you're leading with the satire or a political point, you're potentially sacrificing funny. You have to be ruthless in terms of like either it works or it doesn't. even if you think it's saying something good or true or whatever. In this kind of comedy, the funny leads.
Hi, I'm Liam Neeson. Every passing year, more and more comedies go unmade, unseen, and unquoted.
That guy in a little coat.
But for the price of one movie ticket, you can help rescue a comedy, and in the process, you'll get to share a smile, a laugh, and even the occasional groan with the people in your very own community.
Oh, as if.
Right now, there's a comedy movie that needs you. Please, buy a ticket right now, so our children, and hopefully their children too, can one day enjoy watching a comedy in a theater.
So I think there's a perfect transition point to move to Happy Gilmore 2, because Happy Gilmore 2 is a movie where funny doesn't lead. In fact, the leading motivator of Happy Gilmore 2 seems to be sentiment. And it's specifically Adam Sandler's love of this character, of his buddies that he can make movies with, of golf professionals.
Apparently.
And of just simply the idea that he can get paid enormous amounts of money from Netflix to make movies that are kind of like hangouts for his family and friends, which I think Adam Sandler might be like maybe the happiest Hollywood guy, because he has the ideal gig where it's like you're being paid enormous amounts of money, you're beloved by people to make movies which are entirely on your terms. And because they're entirely on your terms and they're predicated on how beloved you are as a comic persona, you get to spin that out and just make it like whatever you want, and the production of it must be like the most comfortable production ever, because you're just, I'm gonna put my daughters in this, and I'm gonna put my buddies in cameos, and we're just gonna like go golfing for a couple months, and you're gonna film me.
Yeah.
And that sounds cruel, but it's a movie that seems very much based on like affection for the characters, and let's spin this affection out as far as possible in a way that The Naked Gun is not.
No, I will go further than that and say that Happy Gilmore 2 is a film that only exists because of society's affection for the original, in some sense. Like, here's what I'll say about the original Happy Gilmore, which I rewatched earlier this summer before watching the new one. I like it. I think it's funny. I think it's one of Sandler's better 90s comedies. I'd probably only rank Wedding Singer higher of those early ones, up to like say 2000 or so. Up to Punch Drunk Love when he did his first sort of dramatic role.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't think it's a great film. Like it's fun. My generation, particularly kids who are in high school in the 90s, people of like the elder and maybe middle millennial age group have a lot of affection for it. Recently, I was watching a sort of, I guess it was a YouTube short reel of pro hockey players, and they were asking them like some of their favorite movies, and most of them mentioned Happy Gilmore as one of their favorite movies. Right? It's a good norm for people who aren't really into movies. It's one of their favorite movies in the 90s, right? And so it was very easy for Sandler to get everybody wanted to be in this movie. Like, I don't think it's that they just went out to find as many to go back to the reference, what I was saying earlier, I don't know if any movie has more cameos than Happy Gilmore 2. It is insane.
But is Scotty Scheffler an actual cameo in this movie? He's just one of the characters.
No, he's playing. Yeah, he's just playing himself. But
he's in it for like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Bad Bunny's in it for like an hour.
That John Daly is like playing himself as like an alcoholic. Like sort of, it's hilarious. Like, you know, whatever his, I don't know much about his actual own personal life, but I'm like, his willingness to do this for Sandler and play that role, like, and all those guys, even ridiculous things like Travis Kelce has to show up, or Margaret Qualley and Eric Andre, like, why are they in this movie? Like, like, it just starts to become absurd.
Why is Eminem
at a certain point? Yeah. He doesn't. He's playing
Joe Flaherty's son.
Joe Flaherty's son. It doesn't make any sense. Like, but I guess is Sandler a fan of, is Eminem a fan of Happy Gilmore? I bet he is.
Yes.
Just So this is what I'm saying. Like, it's not so Sandler. Yeah, obviously has his daughters in there. He has his regular dudes. But overall, it's like just an excuse for everybody who loved that movie to get a piece of it and be part of the legacy of it in some weird way. And sometimes it becomes like actually like it collapses under its own weight of ridiculousness.
I didn't even think it was that ridiculous. In a weird way, Happy Gilmore 2, I mean, it embodies so much of our current moment of culture because it's a streaming movie directed to Netflix. It's way too long. The original is like 90 minutes and this one's 2 hours for some reason.
I know.
Yeah, it's packed with constant cultural references to figures that I do not care about at all. Like Travis Kelce is an AstroTurf celebrity. Like it's fake.
Yes, absolutely.
He
has the greatest agent in the world. Whoever
he does. He got you Taylor Swift as a girlfriend, and you made you super famous. When literally you're just the guy who plays with Pat Mahomes.
No, it's wild.
It embodies that. It repeats every narrative beat of the original one. It repeats so many gags, so many shots. It has interactive moments of the shots. So you have like him going to his happy place, which is, his late wife, because they kill her off immediately in the movie. Her coming out with,
despite the fact that she's become Julie Bowen, like became a legitimate like television star in Modern Family. It's bizarre that they would do that. So.
It is weird, and it's not. But the other weird thing is that even though they kill her off, she's not like absent. Like they find ways to work her into the movie still.
But they had to take him back to ground zero, I guess.
They did, and so there's Happy Gilmore 2 is a perfect example of a movie that is like remarkably lazy, but it's lazy in such a Hollywood way and not like a new slop Hollywood way, if you know what I mean. Like it is literally the like it's like Casino Royale from the 60s or like all these big budget lazy sloppy films, but it's not the live action Disney remakes.
No,
it doesn't cross the line into being like tasteless, even though some of the jokes are crass and stuff. And the
Benny Safdie's pretty gross.
Yeah, the things I appreciate about the movie are Sandler's weird willingness to like really push how pathetic his characters are in recent movies. Like I think I was texting with you after seeing it about how Sandler in recent years, and especially since doing Uncut Gems, seems to have really clued into the fact that hey, he can't it's not just that he can act like Punch Drunk Love and stuff. He's actually a quite good actor. And he's used that to go back into his classic comedy stuff. And it means that he's now way more comfortable to just kind of like expose these elements of himself in a very unabashed and like unglamorous sense. Like his alcoholism in this movie is actually like depressing in the early going. Yeah. The movie's so melancholy to start.
It's not like a romanticized version of it.
No, it has to force you back to ground zero. But like the movie's very sentimental about its approach to AA and stuff, and his relationship with his kids, especially his daughter, played by his daughter. But it gets there through this really earnest approach to like a grieving man, and it's weird because that's paired alongside the like really lazy structure and comedic approach to the film, and you're like, okay, there's like an actual artist in Sandler, but he's like a lazy artist. But he's not.
There's kind of a good movie buried in there somewhere.
There was a weird opportunity to make this like a very introspective, actually challenging movie about like a man-child.
Yeah,
in a way. And it has elements of that, and so it's a movie that I might be higher on than you. Just like, not saying it's a good movie, but I was kind of like intrigued by elements of it, even though every moment of Bad Bunny hurt me. He's so unfunny. He's so unbelievably
even then bringing
unfunny.
in Domingo from SNL, I was just like, no,
terrible. The cameos, like Travis Kelce's bits, horrible.
He's the worst part of the movie, actually.
All the golfers. Some of them are fine. Like I like how the Rory McIlroy is just playing up how like effeminate he is because He's not American. Like, no, but just like this, there's silly little gags, but I find golfers are boring. And this movie does seem to be hilarious in its like, sorry, this is a tangent here, so forgive me. But the movie, Netflix in recent years seems to have really doubled down on a kind of aggressive, it's very anti other tech companies and their supposed innovations, and it exposes them for being, like, specifically through his documentaries, it really loves exposing tech overreach and like moral and ethical breaks that tech companies do, and cultural things like Fyre Fest and so forth. And this movie touches into that with its whole like golf,
well, like the Live Golf, like the LA,
no, exactly,
like the Saudi golf rival and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, and it makes an absurd version of that through Ben Safdie's like amped up golf experience.
Maxi
I
golf,
forget, Maxi Golf.
Maxi Golf,
and it's ironic because Netflix is this disruptor that has now become actually an old-fashioned studio, and it embodies so much of what is awful about kind of tech-first Hollywood filmmaking, but it also seems to be adamant about like, no, there's a traditionalism that you have to shore up. It's just a weird tension that exists in this movie, and it's present in a lot of other Netflix films. And I think it's a Ted Sarandos thing of like, he's trying to prove that he's actually a legit studio and not just like a VC, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, tangent there. But it's funny how the movie ultimately is like this big defense of how boring golf is, but through the character of Happy Gilmore.
And that's where I think the movie's the most interesting. Because my confession, right? I actually like playing golf. I don't follow golf, so like I'm probably no more familiar with like the big golfers other than just like watching sports, recaps in the morning on TV and stuff. But I like golf, and I appreciate it as a sport, and I think there's something funny about the tension between in the original movie deals with that of like a guy who's got rage, and how do you can't golf angry, right? Like if you're a golfer. Everyone who's golfed a lot knows that like the worst thing you can do is get frustrated and get in your head. You're playing against yourself. You're your only worst enemy in golf. And so the whole metaphor of even like alcoholism and stuff like works really well in golf. And it, is actually fine for a cinematic thing because you're outside, you have big greens, and you can like set it up. It works like that. But yeah, the movie then becomes though more about like exactly what you say, this defense of the sanctity of golf against Maxi Golf. But I'm like, you already made this movie, guys. I'm sorry.
Like every beat.
Exactly. You've already...
But not in like... It doesn't have the knowingness of making fun of the fact that it's repeating, which I'm fine with not having that knowingness. As we said, I don't really love movies that are in on the joke. Mm-hmm. But it also doesn't illuminate anything about repeating it either, or like do it to such a... this is a 2-hour version of a 90-minute arc. So it's that stretched nature of everything here.
Also, here's my one good thing about the movie. Maybe my favorite part of the movie. And the thing that it illuminated also rewatching the original is that Christopher McDonald's...
Shooter
McGavin is a great character, and he's actually very good in both the films.
Yes.
I actually think he's the best character in the new one. The fact that he, spent years in they say in asylum, and then when he wants his revenge on Happy, and then but his he's immediately recruited to like save golf kind of thing. Like, but even in the original, I actually think he's a good comedic villain, and he's actually a good actor.
No, absolutely.
And so I thought the new one did a good job of bringing him back and making him interesting instead of just repeating the exact same thing.
I actually kind of it's. I'm a huge sucker in TV shows of when the villain and the hero have to team up to fight some kind of chaotic third element. I think it's probably... So, I'm a huge Star Trek guy. Like, huge. Mm-hmm. Not new Trek stuff. Like, I like the JJ movies, but I don't watch Strange New Worlds and stuff. And I dislike some... Like, anything I've seen of Discovery and stuff like that is just horrible. But I love TNG, DS9... original series, even Voyager I like. But so in TNG, any episode where Picard and Q have to work together it is so satisfying because of the entirety of the past that's come up. And it's even better in DS9 when Cisco and Ducat have to work together. And there's some episodes that are like incredible because it's working off this tension, and it's feeling that tension for an unknowability of what's going to happen in the dramatic scenario, but also it's playing on the depth that you can only get in a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, a modern example that is Justified. Any episode where Raylan and Boyd Crowder have to team up. Yeah. Just incredible. Anytime Raylan gives him a gun, they got to go together to get some other bad guy. And Shooter, the scene in the graveyard at his wife's grave where Shooter shows up and he's going to get revenge, and they just beat the crap out of each other. And then at the end of the fight, they kind of, like, I think Sandler like kind of pats him on the back and it's like, let's go. Like, let's go cool down and like chill kind of thing. And it's really channeling Sandler's juvenile, like, schoolyard attitude, because it's very much like boys who will go and have a fight. Yeah,
you fight.
And you got out of your system. And now you're buddies. And it's fine. And you move on. And people are always really bad. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of more modern notions of masculinity are really confused by that approach and think it's really toxic or something. And I know women are particularly baffled by it, but I think it is a true thing of, like, guys are able to handle and dissipate their frustrations in different ways and get to something true about how they're on the same level through some like. There's a reason why I used to in the past you don't have like a wrestling match or something.
Yeah, I don't want to play it, but I think what you're suggesting, like, I think there's that is actually not a toxic aspect of masculinity. I think that's actually a way for people to cope with pent up energy and anger, you know. And I think, though, that the idea that you can then move on, I think too many people nowadays hold grudges. They're shadowboxing in their head. They hold on to things. They're vindictive. People who often want to portray themselves as very nice are actually sometimes some of the most vindictive and grudge holding people. And the kind of characters that Sandler has often portrayed are often emotionally juvenile, kind of sloppy people, but he frequently portrays a level of, I don't know if I would use the term grace toward other people in the end, but he does kind of, like, it's very common in Sandler's, like, comedies for, that kind of thing.
He's forgiving. Yeah, like, he's a character. Sandler presents himself as a very flawed person in all his movies always. And part of the dramatic arc of his characters, because, Adam Sandler movies can be very lazy and stuff, but they still follow conventional comedic arcs. And part of that arc always needs to require some kind of his character come to some self-understanding. And the only way that he can express that dramatically is if he's going to extend some grace towards himself and grow, he has to extend that towards characters who are shadows of himself, in a sense, right? Doppelgangers or whatnot. And, I think I brought this up on some other podcasts where if you're doing like conventional character building structure in a really formulaic movie or like a primetime TV show, you literally like draw the main character in the middle, you draw a circle, and then you all put a line to all your supporting characters, and every single supporting character is actually just an extension of your main character, and they illuminate some aspect of them. And so they're really not their own character. They're actually just an element of the main character. And Shooter is very much that.
Yes.
Right? He's the doppelganger, but he's also a man lost in his own rage. And so it shows Sandler has this understanding of like comedic arcs and dynamics, dramatic arcs, and these like basic character dynamics. He's not an idiot in the way he approaches these things, and it works in moments like that. Even if a lot of this movie, like, I haven't watched a ton of movies lately, obviously dealing with a newborn and stuff, and I've barely been to the theater, but I did watch this and I was like, I could fit this 2 hours in, and it kind of went down pretty easy. If I didn't
I know it sounds like you said you maybe liked the movie more than I did, but I'm like, I watched it with my kids and weirdly, and my wife and our parents. It was like a big family. Everyone just gathered around and watched.
Can't believe you made Mom watch the Happy Gilmores. Like, this is cruel. She probably thinks Adam Sandler's the most like repulsive man.
She finds him really annoying, yeah. But yet she shushed us multiple times and really wanted to watch it.
Oh, because she gets engaged with the art.
And that just tells me that there's something to the movie for someone who's maybe, not a fan of Sandler and stuff still to hook onto there. I think the movie misses the best character in the original. Yes. But which is Chubbs. But
R.I.P.
Rip to Carl Weathers. But yeah, like I didn't hate the movie. As you say, it went down pretty easy. But it's by no stretch of the imagination a good movie. And I think it shows.
Not. Yeah. If we're going with streaming slop nowadays, it's okay. which
is shocking. But.
It is. But you take this and you take Naked Gun, and it really is the kind of two ways of like, we're going to regurgitate comedic entertainment. We're going to go and repeat the beats of past things. But one movie just really understands everything and is really intentional. And actually, Naked Gun is a perfect example of like how hard it is to make things look really easy. Because clearly the movie's really calculated and really precise in its approach to all this really loose, stupid comedy. And Happy Gilmore is repetition for the sake of shortcuts. And it all the good elements of Happy Gilmore comes from Sandler's own appeal as a comedian and a public figure, the nostalgia, extreme nostalgia for the original, or nostalgia, for everybody watching who has for the 90s, because we all do. But then also this kind of, I don't know, laziness is, maybe I've just leaned on this term too much, but there's just kind of like complete acquiescence to the fact that, well, things work this way nowadays, and you just do it, and you don't have to really mean it.
The movie does feel like, in some sense, like, as far as late sequels go, it feels like kind of a desperate last gasp, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a huge hit on Netflix, right? Like,
I know.
I know a lot of, I know tons of people who watched this.
Because I bet it's one of the most watched movies of the summer. And it actually, I feel like Netflix almost missed an opportunity to put it in the theater. They could have made a lot more money.
Well, unfortunately, they can't do the K-pop Demon Hunters thing of putting in a sing-along version in theaters. Because that's the most popular movie this summer for them.
I don't know anything about it, but...
K-pop music, and they fight demons, and it's animated girl power stuff. That's all you need to know. Explains everything. In which people from my work, people much older than me or more senior than me, telling me, have you watched this? And I want to be like, well, no, I'm a man in my 30s. I have not watched the little girl K-pop movie. Sorry, I'm only watching real cinema like Happy Gilmore 2.
Exactly.
Don't you know the content that Netflix is
and the
pushing
Naked Gun series?
Is the nostalgia.
Naked Gun.
Yeah, and all 3 Naked Guns. I gotta watch high art, people, and I'm Netflix knows that I'm a sad, depressed guy who's realizing how much old he's getting so quickly. So yes, I gotta watch the Adam Sandler movie.
Gotta watch the Adam Sandler movie, and I gotta watch the old Naked Gun so I can see O.J. Simpson get beat up over and over and over again. It is actually ridiculous how much he gets beat up in those movies.
It's so underrated how good he is at pratfalls.
I know.
He's incredible at pratfalls. I almost think the joke in the new movie is hilarious, but I'm also like, I don't know. It almost feels mean at this point to like make OJ jokes, even though I know that like he wasn't a good person.
Man's dead.
But it's just like, dude, kind of was sad in the later years.
Yeah. One of the greatest films
figure
of the last decade. If you haven't watched O.J. Made in America, one of the best documentaries. If you want to understand America, you have to watch that movie.
Yeah, especially in that moment, like the fact that it's a 2016 movie and it's like Trump won starting, it really captures the racial and
race,
all the politics going
media,
on.
Everything.
Great movie. Yeah, honestly, I think at the end of the day, comparing these two movies, I'm not going to say watching Happy Gilmore 2 was a waste of time or anything. It's, it brings a lot of people pleasure. I enjoyed it well enough, even though I don't think it's good. But if we're going to flash forward another 25 years, these movies are very much looking back to late 80s and early 90s, because it's the eras of the movies that they're sequels to. If we're going to go 25 years in the future, I think there's literally zero chance anyone will watch Happy Gilmore 2. And I think there's like a decent chance somebody's going to watch Naked Gun. Especially if this becomes like a capper to the Liam Neeson action renaissance. Because it's just that perfect transition into like Neeson realizes, hey, maybe I'm not so believable as the guy kicking ass and beating the shit out of human traffickers anymore. So I'm gonna like make fun of that now.
And maybe it sparks a renaissance of him as a sort of comedic straight man.
Absolutely. I would like to see more Liam Neeson comedies. I said in my review the promise of his cameo appearance on Life's Too Short, a TV show that's not that good, but had some good bits, like many Ricky Gervais things, where he's joking about wanting to do improvisational comedy. I want to do improv comedy. And it's the greengrocer who just is saying the most inappropriate things ever. That killed me. It's so funny if you have never seen that clip. It's incredible. And I was like, man, Neeson could be so good if he was just playing it straight in a comedy. And it's finally come true.
I always think of them Liam Neeson making, he casts, Steven Spielberg cast because I'm very good at making lists.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Is that from Extras?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Extras has maybe the best cameos.
Extras has so many great cameos. Of a show that actually just is a bunch of celebrities being self-deprecating cameos. Some of the greatest of all time.
David Bowie playing Stupid Little Fat Man. He's just playing the piano, making fun of Ricky Gervais.
And Patrick Stewart.
And Ricky Gervais really needs to be made fun of. Like,
yes.
You guys deserve to be made fun of more.
You dish it, you gotta take it.
Yeah. You notice this list, huh? I'm always making lists.
Oh.
In fact, that's probably why Steven Spielberg cast me as Oscar Schindler, Schindler's List. I said, Steven, I make lists all the time. And he said, that's exactly what I'm looking for. What's funny?
Sorry, I thought you were joking about getting the part of Oscar Schindler because you made lists.
No. As an actor, you need stuff to draw on. And I drew on that.
Well, we've gone an hour on comedy movies, so I think we've done pretty well. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Three Brothers Filmcast.
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
I bid you farewell.